Hey, New Hope family, it's Pastor Matt with your devotional thought for today. In Mark 8, Jesus says the following: If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. This threefold call is not just a call to pastors and elders or those in ministry leadership positions. This is the call to everyone who wants to be a disciple of Jesus. And it starts with denying ourselves. I think if that was all that he said, it would be enough for many of us to say, that's too much to take in. Like, frankly, when it comes down to it, how hard is it to deny ourselves in this life? When it comes to any number of things, my gut instinct is always to do what I want to do in that situation, even if it might be at the expense of someone else's preference or someone else's desire. And so we must take that into account first and foremost. It's a denial of ourselves. Secondly, take up his cross. We must take up our cross, just as Jesus willingly carried the cross up to the top of Golgotha for our sake. He carried that cross and then he laid himself upon it. We must look at our lives in the same way, that we are carrying this cross, not in a woe is me, look at me carry my cross. It's not that kind of attitude. It's a recognition that my life is not mine. Therefore, I must willingly carry this cross, must willingly lay down my life for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of others. And finally, he says, and follow me. Part of following him is by doing these very things. If we deny ourselves and take up our cross, and then we follow after him, we must read his word, we must know who Jesus is so that we can follow him. And doing these things will mean then that we are his disciples. And that's when he says, for whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. Again, this is not a calling just to those who want to go into vocational ministry or who serve in high levels of leadership in the church or as missionaries on the mission field. This is the call of the gospel to every Christian, to every person who wants to follow after Christ. We must recognize that if we want to gain our lives, we must lose it for Christ and the gospel. That doesn't mean we're all going to become martyrs. We're all going to die physically for the faith, right? That's not necessarily what the Lord has in store for all of us. But it does mean willingness every day to die to ourselves. That's what it means for us. It means that we must be willing to give our lives away so that we can actually gain his life, his goodness upon our lives, because that's the call. If we try to hold on to our own lives, if we cling to our own demands and our own rights in every situation, then we're going to find ourselves losing our very lives. Because what matters in this life is what Jesus says matters, not what we might think matters in our flesh.